To make matters worse, she starts feeling the pains of childbirth. As the container is rocked by the water, Mia's pain keeps getting worse. She tries to call her husband for help, but her phone slips from her hand. With no other options, she removes her clothes, holds onto the container's ropes, and eventually gives birth to a baby girl. In the beginning of the story, we are introduced to a married couple, Nico and Mia, who are attempting to leave Spain illegally. Spain's tyrannical government is targeting the elderly and eventually move on to pregnant women and children for extermination, a result of a crisis of shortage of basic necessities. The couple bribe a human trafficker to help them escape to a local harbor. The couple then navigate through shipping containers, hiding from the authorities and their surveillance helicopters. On their journey, they encounter another smuggler who demands more money from them. However, the couple has already given away all their money, so they're left with no choice but to part with their wedding rings. As a result, they are permitted to board a truck's container that will take them to the port. Nico's plan is to escape to Ireland by hiding on a cargo ship. Once they are inside the truck, they find themselves among other desperate people, including pregnant women like Mia and other families with children. However, there's very little communication between these individuals, as everyone is preoccupied with their own worries. During this time, Nico offers Mia a piece of chocolate, suggesting that she save it for a later celebration of their rescue. Through their conversation, we discover that the couple tragically lost their firstborn daughter, who was shot by the military. In the morning, the truck suddenly comes to a halt, and a group of people forcefully enter the truck. The situation becomes chaotic as the truck becomes too crowded. The smugglers then order the people to split up and get on another truck. When some people resist, the smugglers threaten them with guns and force them out. Unfortunately, Nico and Mia become separated during this process, with Nico placed in another truck container. Mia, frightened, immediately contacts her husband using her phone. Nico reassures her not to worry and tells her they will reunite later because the trucks are headed to the same destination. The truck continues through the streets, where people are protesting against the violence. Mia looks through a hole in the container and witnesses the authorities ruthlessly killing the protesters and taking women and children away. After a while, the truck comes to a stop at a military checkpoint, and the officers order the driver to open the container. The driver, nervous, complies with their request, allowing the officers to inspect the container. Initially, they find some boxes inside, while the escapees hide behind a false wall. However, their leader notices that the container seems larger on the inside, leading him to suspect a hidden compartment. Believing that the fugitives might be concealed inside, he demands that they come out or face severe consequences. Fearing immediate danger, Mia quickly climbs up to a tall wooden crate and conceals herself, while other women reluctantly open the door. Shortly after, the officers open fire, tragically killing everyone. Mia struggles to stifle any sounds, clenching her mouth tightly. The soldiers clean up the container and allow the truck to continue. Mia then promptly sends a voice message to Nico, warning him that his truck will be inspected next. A little while later, Mia's container is loaded onto a ship. Upon realizing that she has arrived at the port, she attempts to contact her husband but cannot reach him. Exhausted, she decides to rest and eventually falls asleep. Many hours later, Mia is suddenly jolted awake by the ship's violent movements. She looks through a hole in her container and sees the sailors in a state of panic due to a massive sea storm. Mia cries out for help, pleading to be let out, but no one can hear her over the chaos. The container continues to shake, causing her to fall several times. At one point, a particularly strong jolt causes her to hit her head, and she loses consciousness. When she awakens later, she discovers that water is leaking into the container through holes. Confused and worried, she looks through one of the holes and sees that the other containers are slowly sinking into the water. In a state of panic, she tries to call Nico, but her phone is now damaged. Just then, she finds a bag left behind by another traveler, and inside it, there's a working phone. However, she doesn't know the passcode to make a call. Mia notices water coming in through the holes in the container and starts searching through the crates, hoping to find a solution. Inside the crates, she finds various items like plastic boxes, earphones, flat-screen TVs, vodka, and more. Mia also discovers some hoodies and decides to put one on. As she continues looking, she finds a roll of yellow tape, which she uses to seal the holes and prevent more water from entering. Soon after, while Mia is going through her photo diary, she hears loud voices from outside. She looks through a hole and sees Nico's container sinking, which terrifies her. She repeatedly calls out her husband's name in distress. Mia tries to make a phone call using her SIM card on the working phone, but the call doesn't connect. Overwhelmed with grief, Mia breaks down in tears as she watches Nico's container sink into the water. In the midst of mourning her husband's apparent death, Mia comes across a penknife and briefly considers a drastic action. However, she feels a kick from her unborn child, which leads her to reconsider her decision. In that moment, she decides to live for her baby and lays down with tears in her eyes. The following day, Mia wakes up and sees that the tape covering the holes has come off, allowing water to leak inside again. In response, she moves one crate under another hanging crate and uses her knife to open it. To her surprise, she finds more plastic boxes inside. At first, this frustrates her, but she soon realizes that she can use the rubber from these boxes to seal the holes effectively. After making these repairs, Mia uses a pipe to remove the water from inside the container. She also takes stock of her supplies and plans how to use them wisely. 2 days later, Mia receives a call from an unknown number, and to her great relief, it's Nico on the other end. He explains that the driver left them outside the city, and it will take some time for him to reach her. Mia shares that she's stranded in the middle of the ocean, which understandably worries Nico. Nevertheless, he assures her that he'll come up with a plan to reunite with her. On that night, the container faces another strong storm, and this makes it very hard for Mia to stay steady. To make matters worse, she starts feeling the pains of childbirth. As the container is rocked by the water, Mia's pain keeps getting worse. She tries to call her husband for help, but her phone slips from her hand. With no other options, she removes her clothes, holds onto the container's ropes, and eventually gives birth to a baby girl. Afterward, Mia takes her newborn baby and seeks shelter in a crate, waiting for the storm to calm down. The next morning, Mia tidies up the area and makes use of the hoodies as makeshift diapers for her baby. She does her best to look after her child, but the little one refuses to eat and continues to cry. In the midst of this, Mia hears a squeaky sound, which gives her an idea. She attempts to create openings in the ceiling using a drilling machine, hoping to let in some fresh air. However, the noise from the drilling only makes the baby cry more, so she decides to stop. That evening, her breasts start producing milk, and she's able to feed her baby before putting her to sleep. During the night, Mia becomes very hungry and, as a result, she ends up consuming all the food she has. In the morning, she keeps on drilling the ceiling. Mia is almost done when, unfortunately, the machine's battery runs out. She resorts to using her penknife to finish the job, but her exhaustion catches up with her. The inside of the container is very hot, and there's not much air to breathe. To cope with the heat, she wets a cloth with seawater to help her baby stay cool. As time passes, things get worse because Mia has run out of food. When the hunger becomes unbearable, she decides to eat her own placenta, which she had kept in a plastic box. At night, Mia hears the eerie sounds of whales. She tries to stay quiet, but when a whale bumps into the container, she falls, scaring the baby and making her cry. In an attempt to scare off the whale, Mia bangs a wooden panel against the container, creating loud noises. It's her 6th day inside the container, and Mia continues her efforts to make a hole in the ceiling. Unfortunately, her only tool, the penknife, also breaks. Additionally, her phone still doesn't work, and the clean drinking water runs out. To quench her thirst, she starts licking the water drops from the ceiling, but it's clearly not enough. Later, Mia starts to have strange visions. She sees her older daughter blaming her for leaving her behind. But then, Nico also appears and reassures Mia that it's not her fault. A little while later, Mia snaps back to reality and notices that it's raining. She hurriedly sets up some plastic boxes to collect the rainwater and takes a sip to quench her thirst. Afterward, Mia uses the ropes from the crates to pull a piece of the container's metal, finally uncovering the sky above. She then exits the container and breathes in the fresh air. Mia also brings her baby outside to let her enjoy the fresh air. However, the unsettling thing is that they are surrounded by an endless sea with no land in sight. Shortly after, Mia changes her baby's diaper and tosses the dirty one in the water. This attracts some fish, giving her hope of getting food. Mia then makes a makeshift tool and tries to catch the fish. Unfortunately, her efforts are in vain as she can't catch any fish, and after multiple attempts, she gives up. Suddenly, she notices an airplane flying above. Without wasting a moment, she rushes down from the container and uses a piece of a TV screen to reflect sunlight to catch their attention. Unfortunately, in her haste, she injures her leg on the sharp hatch edge. To add to her misfortune, the airplane leaves without spotting her. In the next scene, Mia descends from the container and ingeniously uses TV wires and bits of metal to stitch up her wound. The process is excruciatingly painful, and she even loses consciousness a few times, but she manages to complete it. During the night, she begins weaving earphone wires together. By morning, she successfully crafts a fishing net, which she uses to catch fish. After suffering from hunger for a long time, Mia finally gets to enjoy some raw fish. From that day on, she continues to catch fish and stores them in plastic boxes for her meals. Along with all this, she writes SOS notes, places them in the plastic boxes, and releases them into the sea, hoping someone will find them. One evening, Mia shows her baby daughter some family photos and names her Noah. They talk for a while and then fall asleep together. At midnight, Mia wakes up to a strange sound hitting the container. She holds her baby and climbs up slowly, only to find it's a plastic box. At that moment, her phone rings, and it's Nico's voice, bringing her joy. However, the news he shares is heartbreaking. He tried to escape on a boat but got caught by soldiers, shot, and is now hiding in a container, losing a lot of blood. Nico apologizes to Mia, knowing he won't survive, and urges her to fight for their baby's sake. Mia is devastated but shares the news of their daughter's birth. Nico says his final goodbye to Mia and Noah before passing away. Mia is left in tears, and she spends the night looking at the sky. The story jumps ahead to day 26, with the container partially submerged in water. Mia and her baby are on top of the container, working on building a makeshift raft from the container's materials. While doing this, she spots a seagull, giving her hope for a rescue. As night approaches, Mia prepares her raft and places her baby in it. Suddenly, she hears a noise from inside the container and realizes it's about to sink. She quickly dives down to retrieve her belongings. In the process, she spots a piece of chocolate given to her by her husband, floating in a corner. She swims toward it, but unfortunately, her leg gets entangled in some ropes. The container starts sinking, and Mia struggles to free herself. At the very last moment, she manages to cut the rope and swims back up. When Mia returns to the surface, she becomes frantic as she can't find her baby. Just then, a passing whale sprays some water on the baby, making her cry. Mia hears the crying and swims toward Noah. The following morning, Mia, feeling very tired, tosses the fish she caught, hoping to attract some birds. In her weakened state, she talks to Noah, saying she did her best. Meanwhile, a fishing boat is nearby, casting nets. A fisherman and his family notice a seagull circling something. They approach and find a raft with a child. They quickly lift the raft and discover a rope attached to it. They pull on the rope, and Mia's body comes out. The rescue team takes her onto the boat and starts doing CPR. At first, Mia doesn't respond, but the continuous chest compressions bring her back to life. When she regains consciousness, her first concern is her baby, whom the fisherman's wife hands to her gently. It takes some time for Mia to realize that she's safe, and tears fill her eyes as she sees that they're approaching the shores of Ireland. Did you like the movie? Don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button to stay updated for more movie recap videos. Thank you for watching. See you at the next one.